And we're back. Hi again. This is Dylan. Sorry for being back or away. I know it's been a bit of a break since the last podcast, but I'm here with my co-hosts here, Jordan and John.
Hello.
So up to you guys. Who wants to go first? Just to introduce
I'll go
yourselves.
first. Yo, it's your boy, Sean.
Yeah.
Out here helping my boy Dylan with his endeavors. I'm just here to chill, talk, see some real stuff. The usual.
Yeah.
Alright.
And
That's it for me.
yeah, Jordan.
Hey guys, Jordan here. I'm just here to help out Dylan with some stuff, and I personally just like to study a lot of stuff around productivity and development of creative projects and stuff like that. So hopefully we can discuss something interesting and insightful.
Yeah. Okay. I just like before we get right into it, I just want to give a little bit of background how I met these two guys. Right? I don't know if you guys follow. Well, not you guys, but the audience. But the whole Gary V thing of what was the video? In a way, I met. I forgot her name, but I think she. It was like a Fatima, yeah. She did a video, and then she was on a live stream, and then I was dropping in there I need a video editor. Does anyone know how to video edit? And I was asking her, and she's like, oh yeah, question mark. And then I think it was Jordan. Yeah. It's like, yeah. And then, yeah, it's kind of, I wouldn't say random, but it was kind of off the cuff, eh? But here we are today. We trying to do that hustle and put things together. So yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, today we're gonna try and talk about what was it? When things don't go to plan. Yeah, I feel like since it's roughly early March, right? Early March, me and my co-hosts, we're all studying, and it's kind of a little bit study season at the moment, so fitting everything on top of study, work, and so on and so forth, right? So naturally, when you try to put projects together, things don't go to plan, as me and my co-hosts have. I feel like I should call you guys different than co-hosts. It feels weird. Feel free to when you get a better name for co-hosts, then
I
yeah,
think teammates advice.
teammates. Yeah. We'll go with teammates. Cool. So yeah. In terms of projects, I'm trying to think because funny enough, we tried to do something in December, I think, or just before the Christmas break, roughly. I can't remember. I'm trying to think what the project was though, because we were gonna
It was something along the lines
It was
of
Gamify, right?
yeah, it was TikTok or a video. We were just gonna take quotes and instances from pop culture and kind of celebrate it. I can't remember why I didn't go through though, because what happened? In a way, obviously it didn't go to plan, right? And yeah, I guess the big factor in a lot of this is really a two-part thing in my experience is setting up, planning the time when you're going to do it, and then executing it, right? And I guess when you do, your experience how it can be proved, right? I think a big one in terms of planning things, especially as a content creator, if you're working by yourself or if you're working with a team, is organization, right? In you guys' experience, how'd you find, I guess, because I think we all started out trying to do Asana and all these other like tools that tried to help. Like, how did you guys find? I guess because I think we just went with Discord in the end. Like it was the
Yeah.
easiest. Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
John,
yeah. Who's talking?
what I'll say is, real quick,
Yeah.
John, I say that you share your idea first before I share mine, just so we can keep it moving a little more smoothly. But yeah, let's continue. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
just keep an eye on the clock because might ramble a bit, but yeah,
Perfect, fine.
yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay. So I found the tools to be like too complicated and convoluted to really keep track of.
Yeah.
But I just feel like the issue was that it's just the distance in our personal lives getting in the way of things.
Yeah.
Because me and Jordan, we're working boys. We're always working, and that's what really gets in the way for us. Well, in my case, also school and just personal life as well. And so it's not really like, yeah, it's unexpected because stuff just comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, man, you can't do much.
Yeah.
But I guess the most major one that really got in the way of things is like being surprised on how not simple it is to make a video with the Soundboy project, for example. Like we thought we could just do it really quickly, but in reality, it just takes way too much time to make a video on even just a game. Just underestimating the process it takes to make one.
Yeah.
It's
I
really
know.
unexpected.
Yeah. It's crazy. Jordan, you want to input?
Well, personally, yeah, I felt like kind of the same direction where John's coming from. They overcomplicated some things like Asana and whatnot, where it kind of came down to the point where it was much better just to place things almost in any kind of software, whether it be Discord or a notes tab, where you can kind of just subsection things. Because all we really needed from these things were, yes, the notifications or whatever kind of small add-ons they have on are very nice and useful, but at the end of the day, we were just looking for a quick space where we could set it up and get straight to work. But we kept on finding that with different products and different resources, they were overcomplicating things, and it was slowing us down because we were spending so much time trying to figure out how are we going to actually set up our creation process. So we couldn't really focus on what it is that we are trying to build. And I really do think that's like one of the big contributing factors, because personal life, it makes it harder to kind of put all that focus into just setting how our process will go for actually creating strategies to get things done.
Yeah.
I personally just say it was just kind of a pain working with these hard to set up products. I'm sure they have their uses and that some people have found success using them, but personally I think they're not great for people that are trying to just get into working with a team and get off the floor, because sometimes the best thing is to just release something of mediocre quality just to kind of know how you work.
Yeah, exactly.
Just to release anything in general.
Yeah, I know, right?
Anything really.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, eh? Because yeah, I think I was working in not working, but I was competing in a hackathon in, I think, Melbourne, Australia. By the way, I'm just gonna put this out here in case it's not obvious, but my two teammates are in Canada and I'm in Australia, right? So there's a bit of a time zone difference. So yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, the difference is quite substantial, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's had its impacts, yeah.
I feel like that's like where a lot of the issue comes.
Yeah.
comes
I
into as
mean,
well.
people find a way. I know some that Australia,
Yeah.
America, and Canada's not that very far off. But I will say though that the one well, getting back to the point, like usually the two main things people use is either Slack or what's the other one? Slack or Discord. Usually it's one of the two. in terms of direct messaging, like if I don't have their phone number and text them, usually I'll use, because I don't know if it's really good or not, but like sometimes I just message them on Facebook, but we'll get into that later. But I feel like a lot of it is kind of like casualness, but also trust, right? Because like Discord is like that kind of weird medium where it is used for gaming, but it also is like immediate. And then Slack is like that final, like, you guys know what Slack is?
It rings a bell.
Just explain it, just in case of the audience.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much Discord, but it's for business, right? It's for like business professionals and stuff like that, right? Yeah, it works pretty much like Discord, but it's like in a professional setting kind of thing. It's got like
tailored.
Yeah, like it's got tools like, you know, if you post on Twitter or Instagram or what's the other one, like a website, it like updates on Slack. So yeah, I mean, honestly, because I guess a really big one as well is like the cost with using Asana and all that, and it was like, it was kind of crazy, right? Because like, I think in the end I used like a combination of like Google Calendar and Discord to like organize everything, right? Because the big one in general was like time zones, right? Because I was just getting confused, like, you know, back and forth, and like eventually I got Google Calendar to work and I just figured it out from there. But yeah, I would say that big part of it would be planning. Planning helps, but as always, nothing always goes to plan. Like, yeah, I think, yeah, I think another thing was probably the ideas in general of just, what was it? Like executing on the. Like, I think executing on ideas is more important than the idea itself. Like, I think that's heavily underestimated. Like, you can just get caught up crazily in, you know, is it the best idea? Should we do this? Should we do that? Because like, I think way back when we were doing like I think games and coding one, and then I was like gonna talk to family members to like organize it. Cutting to the chase, unless you're working by yourself and you know exactly what you're doing based on you, like the more people get involved, the more unknown factors happen, and you know, long story short, they had their own things and different motives, and you know, it's a part and parcel. Like, I gave it a shot, but yeah, I mean, again, it didn't go to plan, and you know, maybe it is an idea we go down the track with, in general. Like, I think I want to get you guys' input on that. Like, we were doing like a game / life activity stuff, and we kind of pivoted, ? Yeah. Like let's like talk about the Project Zomboid one, because it was like that one, and I think it was like a coding one. It was like one of the two.
Yeah, the coding.
Yeah, the coding one. Yeah. That was in when was that? I think February or early January. January, yeah.
January, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. John, what do you think?
What I think? I mean, I think the problem with the projects we had is that, well, for Zomboid only picked, because like we had like 2 projects. One of them was like the coding one where we play a game that teaches you how to code, or it has like some coding elements.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the other one was like what Dylan's idea was a game that teaches you about leadership skills.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So with that being said, we end up going with the leadership game, and for the game that we picked for it was Project Zomboid, which for you that don't know is it's one of those old school zombie games. There's like in this map, and like it's pretty realistic or pretty difficult as like an old school top down RPG.
Yeah,
Akin to like Fallout and games of that sort. The issue that we had with Zomboid is that it's such an open-ended game. Really, there's like no main story or anything. You just pop in there and play games. So I guess like if you're gonna plan something, it has to be something a lot less open-ended. Cause we were playing around and no goal in mind, but the majority of our sessions were just like testing.
Yeah,
For the most part,
Yeah,
we're just trying to figure the game out.
I think at one point,
Yeah.
you went kind of rogue, and me and Jordan were just doing our own thing. Well, I think at that point we realized like this has gone to the wayside. This is like
Yeah, I really didn't know what to do.
Yeah. Nah, I think there was like this one quote that like, what was it what Jordan said? It was just like, wait a minute, I expect on athletics and then you actually need to be able to read books? What the hell? Like, just like a metaphor for life. It's like, wait, I can't just brute force my way through things. I have to actually educate myself. It's like, wow.
That was so bad.
I think there was like flashbacks of my like past when I heard that. It's just like, yeah.
I mean, what I think is with something like, as John said, open-ended. Zomboid was a really open-ended game. No hardcore kind of storyline or anything. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's even stated by the devs that even in like the loading screens, this is how you die. Like regardless, at some point in time, you're gonna run out of resources, or you're gonna make an error, get caught up, and be executed by zombies in a very gruesome manner. But I think if you are gonna pick something like that, I think that personally, from what we experienced, I think that's something like you have to wait until you get more experience and kind of develop yourself as a creator. Because I felt that all of us were kind of struggling to figure out how to format this, and I really had to sit down one time because I was really curious because I really want to try and make the project work, but I know that we probably still can't do it yet. But I think it's something very specific where like you need to set it up so that way you get certain lines of footage, because obviously you'd need everyone recording, which was not possible at the time. It still isn't quite yet because of PC specs. Set it up in a way where we'd all be able to go to certain places and accomplish certain goals. So really and truly, we could only get like short range footage of how we take over a building when zombies are inside, and how we loot a building fairly quickly, how we deal with alarms going off and attracting zombies and whatnot. So it's like very specific scenarios and seeing how we could apply that to life, which is just, as John said, open-ended. And then going back to Dylan, it's very there's a lot of variables. So we already have a bunch of variables with time and all these different things. So throwing in more variables into that kind of made it even more difficult to make something like Zomboid work at this point in time.
Like, I think it's just common sense, but like, I guess the big one is like meeting up at the same place theoretically. I mean, I know we're not actually meeting up at a place, but like organizing a time to like jump on Discord, talk, organize it, and then put the videos together. Like, no, it's crazy just even organizing something like that in general and just getting it together, because like I think the big one is just the more people you add to your schedule, the more complicated it gets. Because like there were times when like Jordan was free, but then John wasn't, and then John was free, but then Jordan wasn't, and then there was times when I wasn't free, and then you two were like, yeah, it's yeah, I mean, you gotta just, I guess, figure things a way around it. Like, just set a day, set a time when you're roughly going to meet up. And if you're not going to make that time, just try to, notify that you're not going to be able to do that. And if there's an alternative, do that. And if not, obviously there's nothing you can do about it. Just do the following week after that, right? Because part and parcel of everything, I think it was like a thing with, I think it was Kevin Hart on the Joe Rogan show. He was talking about like, I think his like emotions or like being sad, but like still doing the job, right? And he just ultimately came down to the fact that he's like, look, time stops for no one. So it doesn't stop for me, doesn't stop for the president, doesn't stop for the smartest people in the world, doesn't stop for the poor. It just keeps going on and on and on, regardless if you're sad or not, right? And despite the fact of like emotions and being sad, it's like, yeah, things don't go to plan. That's pretty obvious, right? But reality is we all have, I think it's like 168 hours, right? And we're all given the same amount of time as the rich, the poor, and whatever, right? And yeah, there are factors that come into it of like, you know, how you spend that time and stuff. But ultimately, it's not really about time. It's more really about, you know, priorities, I guess. Because, you know, with me, you know, I really wanted to learn more like cybersecurity and coding and stuff like that. But at the same time, I try to write articles about games and stuff like that. And basically, you got to do the work in both of them, right? You know, you can't just make content out of nothing, right? You still got to produce, right? There's this thing on TikTok at the moment where it's like, oh, you got to post 5 to 10 videos, right? And there's literally videos that just saying, well, this is my first video, and then that's the video. That's it. Like, and it's like, can you classify this as content, honestly? And it's like, the point is not the content, the point is the consistency, right? And that's what I'm trying to get at with here, us doing stuff, right? Although this is like our first podcast and so on and so forth, right? You know, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, you always aim to go somewhere, right? But always be prepared for it to be thrown out the window. Like, it's good to plan, yes, but also, I guess ultimately, you know, just try to align your intentions with what your goals are, right? Because I'm trying to get practice with podcasting and just better conversation, like, and I think Jordan, you wanted to develop a course or something with fitness, right? Because if you don't already know, Jordan is a bit of an athlete, like a really good athlete. not to boast, you know, yeah, no worries, man. It's he's really good, and I think
I do like varying sports, so it's hard to keep track of, but mainly track and field and football and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
My whole gimmick's just being like an athlete that can do anything.
Yeah. And I think John, I think it was like you own like a guitar or something like that, and
Oh no, I'm just big chilling.
you're just be chilling. Yeah, he's a chill guy.
I just do whatever.
I do,
but he is like he's like a lifestyle type of person. Like,
yeah,
like I get the vibe.
Like, I'm just trying to have fun. Like, after I'd done some dumb stuff in the summer, like having a firework blow up in my face, and had my lung collapse a week after. I'm like, you know what? That got me on my shell. So I just been doing a lot of fun, stupid stuff.
yeah.
Cause like, why not? You know, like I got to the point where like, if it's not fun, then what's the point? I go to school because it's fun. You know, I'm here because it's fun.
Yeah.
That's how I roll.
Yeah. I will say though, like, I think like another big one is like, okay, long story short, I was some point later in the year I was gonna do VR content, right? But obviously that means like better computer VR content and stuff like that. But like, yeah, we'll putting aside everything, like this is a kind of gaming related, but like, if you don't already know, I think it's March 9th or 8th, depending on where you are. Like, yeah, it's March 8th for my teammates, but Half-Life Alyx came out, right? And it's like a big AAA kind of VR game, right? And alongside that, Valve developed the Index, right? And it's kind of like confusing because this is gonna get a bit, but you know, the whole virus thing and stuff like that. It had issues with productions in China, a lot of like computer parts, and I think what else? Well, VR stuff, right? So that kind of put like a wrench in things, mainly because of when things are going to get posted, one, so when will I build this PC, and two, I guess the cost, because obviously because things are in demand and stuff like that, it raises the cost of things, right? So obviously in a content creator space, it kind of doesn't really affect us unless we're like getting hardware and stuff like that, right? But I will say though that it kind of is like it doesn't go to plan, right? Because you can't really foresee how bad like a outbreak is gonna happen, right? It's just like it's out of your control, right? And it's making do with the fact that like, yeah, this happens. The best course of action is either deal with it and just pay the cost of like the inflated price of demand, depending when you want to get it, or what was it? Or, you know, just wait it out, I guess. Because I think the big strength of our team in general is our patience, right? It's like March right now. We haven't really put a lot of content out there, but we're still here talking. And obviously, if you guys didn't think that like we could do something, then you wouldn't be here right now. So, yeah. I mean, being a content creator is a patience game, honestly, because you know. They say, like, play the long game, right? I think that's, like, I guess a big difference between, I guess... I will say, like, doing, like, a typical job. Because when, you know, typical job, it's just, when it's over, right? But, like, with content creation, it's always, like, you can always be working on it. There's no set time. It's one of
you
like
can be thinking about ideas. Yeah,
like ideas and processes and communicating with the team, and if you're working with a team or not. Like another one in general, like I'm kind of like a freelance writer, right? And like I think it was like yesterday, I was just like in general just sitting down and just organizing my ideas and then seeing like feasibly which would most likely be produced and which will happen, which will not. Because, well, like, long story short, I was working on it, right? And it kept coming up a lot of the time that, like, premise or, like, the whole saying of what was his name? He was a Navy SEAL and he's black. Not Jocko Willink, he's obviously white, but it's gonna kill me for not knowing this. Hold on. I was talking about it before. What's his name? Anyway, the whole premise was like our mind is conditioned to like take the easiest route possible, right? And when I was writing the articles, a lot of me deciding which was I was going to write on was like basically which is going to be like the easiest to produce, not like the easiest to produce, but like what can I produce to get out there, right? And I guess it's very hard to fall into that mindset trap, like, oh, what's the easiest? What's, like, the easiest to produce? What's the easiest to, like, get out there, right? Because, you know, we naturally, as human beings, we're always going to look for the path of least resistance, right? And it's kind of like realizing that, like, although quality is, we're told it's important, right? You don't realize how important it is until you, I guess, get judged for it, I guess, is one part of it. And then when you look at it yourself, judge it for itself. Yeah. Because, like, you ever had that instance where, like, you're, like, look at some of your older work, like, I get, like for me, for example, like, I look at, like, some of my stuff I did in high school, and I, like, can tell how my writing has improved, because I look at it, and I'm like, wow, that was honestly terrible. Like, some of the essays you wrote, or, like, some of the things that you tried to, like, produce. Like, what do you guys think? Like,
oh, that's very apparent in the drawing community, that's for sure. In the art community.
Yeah.
They always look back their older work and like, wow, I drew that? That was complete garbage. But honestly, that applies to everybody. Like math, right? You suck at math, then you come back to it and you're like, man, that shit was easy. You know? It also goes the other way around.
Yeah.
It was never a big deal. But yeah, like we all seen that before. It's not just exclusive to essays or art. It's open to everything.
True. Like,
I think it's very apparent. Like once you start working a hands-on job, that's really apparent that you improve for sure.
Yeah.
Personally, in my content creation, not only in like sports and whatnot, but like because I am a content creator, a solo content creator as well.
Yeah.
Just looking at my stuff from when I was like, I think 14, 15 years old.
Oh yeah,
it's a big difference. There's so many things that you just become more aware of and apparent of just from consistently doing something. Even if you're not actively looking for different ways to improve in your craft, if you just do it repeatedly, you just get very, very skilled at it.
Yeah, I mean it's very yeah. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
It's very underestimated, just repeating boring stuff. Like, I think that's just a very underestimated skill. Even content creation, yeah.
And it really makes me think it's like, that's why we kind of realized when we first started off with like our very tough ideas, after a while we were kind of just like, we need something more simple. That's what kind of made us move on to this chess idea that we've been working on for a little bit. It's nothing too big, it's kind of casual, and it's just to kind of help us create something, you know? But it's like we realized we can't do such complex projects right now because we need to first just develop our bases, and we just need to do something so we can do something consistently, so that way over time we can develop that kind of difference in skill if we look back like a year from now or something.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's kind of weird when, like, it's kind of weird how, like, when it's like a work thing, it's like, oh, well, that's obviously like something I would work towards too. Like, but when I like look at like competitive games, right, or like computer games, like I like play it casually, right, and it's kind of weird how like this draw card comes from it. It's like, well, I need more of your time. I need you to like put more time into it to get better at it, and it's like, it's all good fun until you realize that like it's quite a time commitment, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? The problem is that, and I think like a big factor of like what gamers are experiencing right now is like they got like their mainstay game, right? They always return to, but then they never really experience like any new kind of games or stories, or, you know, try, I guess, anything different, unfortunately. Like, and it's weird how like my like content or writing for articles is like forcing me to like try new games and like think about it in a different perspective, right? Like, I guess like a big one would be, you know, with me and like some of my classes during like the middle of the day, and then having nothing in the morning, or like having like a lecture right in the morning, but it's like just a lecture, and it's kind of this weird, well, it's like a weird personality quirk of mine where like I tend to like stack everything in the morning to like get it out of the way, so that as the day progresses, like I have nothing else to worry about, then I can just work on the task, right? And it really plays against my personality type to have a class right in the afternoon. I'm like I don't know, and like obviously I work around it. Like I try to like work on a Saturday and just sit around and just stew in just my study mindset and try to get through it, right? But I guess it's like this, I think maybe it was like Stoicism I heard from, I heard it originally from Ryan Holiday, right? But he obviously references like Seneca and all that, but he's like talking about the idea of like only worry about the things that are in your control, right? So obviously for me, when I'm working on my own projects, I always be like, you know, it's all within me, so the only person I can blame is myself, right? But then obviously other things like, you know, budgeting for like new equipment and stuff like that, yeah, it's partly in my control, but there are just certain things I can't control, like, you know, the process of me working on these articles to get paid. You know, as much as I really want to like put in the hours and get it out the way kind of thing, like it's not like a straightforward path, because it's a creative process, part and parcel of it, despite the fact that it's non-fiction. So it's very tough to force something if innately the, you know, like even content creation, obviously in this space, the Work in Progress podcast, you can't force something if you don't have the words or like the fuel to, I guess, talk about it, if that makes sense, right? Because like ultimately like I think we forget that like worrying itself, although you think it's productive, it's like it takes energy to do that, right? And it saps your mood and energy as you do it, going around in circles and then not doing anything. It's kind of like procrastination a little bit, you know what I mean? Like,
it takes the same amount of energy just to actually do something.
yeah. Like a famous one for me is like I over-plan things like crazy. It's like a good and bad thing. Like I will always like turn up to an appointment on time, if not a week early. Like I've done things like that in instances where I've like turned up. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm here. I'm like, yeah, you're like a week early. Like I'll never be late or miss an appointment, but I'll always guarantee that I overschedule things like crazy to the point that I'm like unrealistic. But I mean, how do you guys work around like your personality quirks of productivity? Like, do you have any? Like, what's your deal with that?
When it comes to working or anything, like I tend to just like put a freaking deadline.
Yeah.
So that I force myself to do something.
Yeah.
And so I enforce that deadline either to like I'm honestly constantly thinking about it when it comes close to that deadline, or I just put it on the calendar. It's like, all right, to this day I'm actually gonna do this.
Yeah.
So what helps a lot for me is that just shutting off the phone. The phone is so addictive. We're all addicted to phones. Don't last about that. And so just putting that darn thing away and just focusing really does help work, especially with studying as well. But honestly, just putting something out, just doing something, will just the first step, you know. There's like this guy on Xbox I met, but like he's really big into soccer. He wants to be a soccer player.
Yeah.
And he just wants to make some content. I'm like, honestly, just put out anything, because there's this YouTube channel, but in anyway, Elijah Long, he has like, I think he has 80,000 subscribers. I'm not really sure, but his entire livelihood was created just by filming himself in front of like a Samsung phone. And he still does it to this day. He hasn't changed his production value whatsoever. And he's slowly growing, but he did make like his little subscription service as well. So he's making a good living, or just something out of his own life, just by putting out any content, whatever it is, and just speaking his mind out.
Yeah. I mean,
just putting anything out there, and if you have something good to say, people will be attracted to that.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of weird, right? Just watching TV in general. Like, even my parents don't really watch TV, but like, just kind of the weirdness of how professional everyone is on TV, obviously, because of like the amount of money that's involved, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, I mean, obviously, like, you go to like certain people and certain contents for reasons, right? But it's kind of like even with like big YouTubers and all that, I just tend to avoid them now because I'm just like, they just seem so not unauthentic, but just so too
They're
big.
so samey.
Yeah, like they're kind of all samey. They got a formula, and then they just like, oh yeah, whatever. Like they hit a point that they just kind of feel not disingenuous, but like very like
it's artificial.
Yeah, exactly. It feels artificial, right?
It is. It's artificially made for a specific audience. Yeah, certain guy.
Yeah. No, that's alright. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyway, what about you, Jordan? What kind of personality quirks or things you work around with?
Jordan still will be back, but
No, I'm here.
he's back. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, but I have to move a car. But wait, can you say that for me one more time? Sorry,
what was like your kind of personality quirks that you kind of work around or helps you workflow getting stuff done?
Personally, what I found with myself is that I'm only really good in bursts, so I can get a lot of stuff done within like an hour, and then the next hour I could be doing absolutely nothing. So personally, it's been an advantage in terms of producing great stuff, but in terms of consistently producing great stuff, it's made it very difficult. So how I set things up is that I give myself a small quota that I feel is very easy to achieve, so I don't procrastinate. And let's say, as an example, I have my weekly schedule. If I schedule at this time for video production, let's say I'm putting an hour or 2 hours in the video production, I do that for 2 hours, and whether I've gotten far with it or not, I cut it right there and I give myself a break. So I give myself plenty of breaks, even if they're like an hour or 2 hours. I'm personally someone that's not very great with doing a lot of work, but I can do a lot of high quality work, I'd say. So that's kind of like what I've had to play around with. It's just how I am and it's how I function. Otherwise, if I do too much continuous work, my quality drops off fairly quickly. But I do believe it is very important to build your schedule around something that you're very comfortable with and confident will work. So for me, it's something very loose end where I can change it on the fly. If I want to only work for 15 minutes and then doze off for the rest of the time, I can. But I do really believe that it's very beneficial to work around a schedule that works for you. Some people, they can set up hours on end where they can work and they can have like the entire day planned out thoroughly.
Yeah.
That's my take.
How are we doing for time? Like, how long have we been going for?
We've been going for about, I'd assume 40 minutes. Let me see.
Yeah,
we've been going for about
minutes.
40
minutes.
Yeah.
Alright. Well, we still got time.
Yeah.
A big one that I've realized over this weekend is what do you do trying to get work done when you didn't get enough sleep? That's a big one. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Alright.
Honestly, I'm so really tired.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Cool.
Honestly,
a
10-minute nap is all you need.
Yeah.
To refresh.
To refresh. I would say 20 minutes if you got time.
20, yeah. No more than 30 minutes or else you're stuck in deep sleep. But that power nap does wonders.
Yeah. Although I've experienced 40 minutes, not too bad. It's when you go over 55 or 50 that's the problem. But yeah, I think it changes with people. But we'll just ask Jordan real quick. What's your takes on this? Like when you didn't get enough sleep, but you need to get something done. What do you do?
Okay, so the first thing I do is I get out the way sooner rather than later because as I progress into the day, I'll get more and more tired. So I'll either do it very early, like I'm talking within the first 3 hours of waking up, even if I have schooling or something, because it's really like it's sleep debt, right? So if you roll around to the later parts of the day, your body's expecting you to get a certain amount of sleep by a certain amount of time, and that's what will kind of hurt you. But really and truly, I just give myself the more basic task of what I'm trying to do. So if I'm trying to complete like calculus work or whatever, I'm not taking calculus, by the way. I'll take the very basic stuff, or like I'll write down how I'm gonna specifically do it. Like I'll take something very basic that I can't mess up because of being tired, and I'll do that part. If it all needs to be done in the same day, then I'll do the more complex stuff first, and that way when the sleepiness hits me more hard, all the easier stuff are for the latter portion of the day. That's how I personally handle it, though.
Yeah. It's tough, right? Because it's a combination of like, you need to get work done depending on whatever your deadlines are, if it's that day or sometime later. But there's also a combination of like preparing for the next day so that you do get that right amount of sleep, right? Because like one thing I noticed, especially at the start of this weekend, around Friday, Saturday, is like your sleep time that you wake up gets thrown off, so it's like a little bit later than usual, and then you go to bed a little bit later, and it's weird because people like what's your take on this? Like, should you exercise to get exhausted, right? Like, or do you think like, oh, you might get an injury, don't do it? Like, what's your take on this? Like, I guess it really depends on how tired you are, but like, what have you done in your experience? Have you exercised to, help with the fact that you're more tired near the end of the day, kind of thing?
Personally, yes, I have, but not too frequently. It gives me a kind of good feel. I tailor down the workouts heavily, but I do just feel like it's a great thing to also train yourself to be able to, like, you don't want to cut corners and weaken up your day too much. I say make it less complex, but don't take away too much of the volume of what you're doing, because you want to be conditioned to be able to work in these environments, because it's not every day we're going to get 8 hours of sleep. Maybe like once every 2 weeks some of us are having insomnia, or get woken up early by an alarm, or your body just says, screw you, we're waking up 6 hours early and you're only getting 2 hours of sleep. So I think it's important to teach our bodies to still function in that state, because we don't want to be out of commission for an entire day simply because we woke up too early or never had the perfect stuff happening. We need to be adaptable to what happens to us. That's my take on it.
Yeah, and in order to adapt, a lot of it is just have to do the mindset itself. Because there's plenty of time where like you're super tired, but as soon as you have that mindset, it's like a switch in your body. Like you start working.
Yeah.
Like you get this burst of energy. But exercising, in my personal case, it just makes you more awake.
Yeah.
Because like that's naturally what it does. Like, try to sleep, don't exercise as a way to try to sleep. It'll just like end up firing up your body.
Yeah.
But also, what really helps when I'm tired, is really taking notes. Because personally, when I'm really tired, I tend to forget things much easier. Like, I have thought, it just goes away. Especially when trying to do something more on the creative side or an assignment, where you need to like write up something. Taking plenty of notes.
Yeah.
But the worst thing was when you're tired is that you lose a lot of focus. So just taking away a lot more distractions will for sure help. But just generally, even outside of being tired.
Yeah.
It's good to take away distractions.
It's weird because like, I have instances where I'm like so tired, I'm like, I'm gonna get nothing done, right? Because like, it's when you're in situations like, usually the case is like, keep awake, don't nap, or try not to nap, right? And just try to like stay awake long enough so that when it's bedtime, just ease yourself into it and then just try to get some sleep, right? Because like the like when I was younger, like in high school and stuff like that, the mistake I would do, because I would never really get much sleep for like high school, because it's like an early wake up time, right? And then you still got to do homework. So like the mistake I fell in is like after school finish, I would just go home and just sleep. Like I would just collapse in the bed, but I would never set like a clock or timer, right? And this whole like sleep hygiene thing, it wasn't really known to me. So then I would just wake up. I wouldn't be like refreshed, but then it would be enough to like finish my homework, right? Because I'm not saying it was easy, but it was like enough to like get by. And then I would try to go to sleep, and then I realized like I can't sleep. What the hell? Or what's going on, right? And it would be like this vicious cycle of like not getting enough sleep at night, waking up early, going through school or my class, and then being tired, so not really getting much done, and then you know, catching up on the sleep in the afternoon, and then rebounding and stuff like that. If you really want, in just to the audience in general, just read the book Why We Sleep. It answers a lot of questions you would typically have about, I guess, you know, why am I not sleeping? What about sleep medications and caffeine and naps and the whole works of it. If you're not going to be able to like cover it or just read it in general, I think it's like the podcast or even like the talk with the guy who wrote the book. Just look into it, right? Because, you know, knowledge is power, right? And the more you know, like, in terms of like, or for me, preference or priority, it's like sleep, I think sleep, nutrition, and then exercise. Usually in that order. It's nutrition and exercise, they kind of interchange, but they're kind of like, you know, interchangeable. Not interchangeable, but like they're connected with each other. Like they're just as important as each other. But I will say that sleep is a big one in terms of.
Oh no, it's underrated. Yeah. Honestly, like sleep, fitness, and exercise. I mean, sleep, diet, and exercise are the three schools of fitness. If you take one away, everything else collapses.
Yeah, definitely.
It's super underrated how important sleep is for recovering, just health in general.
Yeah.
But on the topic of that book we were talking about, does it mention like how hormones play into like getting to sleep? Because prior to like taking vitamin D, I was extremely deficient, right?
Yeah.
And my testosterone was really extremely low. And so it wasn't until I fixed my vitamin D levels and started taking in other supplements like zinc or magnesium, where I just sleep like a baby now. Like I no longer got insomnia. So to put the phone away, I'm out. Back then, I used to have like really bad insomnia. Yeah. So does that also because I know that magnesium is really efficient in calming down the body, relaxing the body itself.
Yeah. He did talk about melatonin, but I'm not sure about magnesium and all that.
Yeah, it's one of those like supplements that we need.
Yeah, I think that's a nutrition part of it.
It's definitely nutrition.
Yeah,
sure.
Because like he did say one factor is that when you are tired, you naturally feel really hungry. Like you just want to eat carbs like crazy, and you like put on weight and stuff like that. But like he said, it was like a primal biological thing where it's like your body prioritizes, because it thinks it's like in a state where it's like, oh, I'm in danger, I need to get as much food as possible so that I can store up on it. Because what people don't realize is like when you're tired, your body kind of goes into a little bit of overdrive. Although you feel tired, your body's kind of fighting the state to, I guess, stay awake, right? And in doing so, it burns a lot of calories, right? Because you're like, I'm not like, there's like this really weird thing where it's like, oh, so you can use sleep deprivation as a weight loss technique? And he's like, yeah, you could, and then destroy your body. Like, it's yeah. Do with that.
Yeah, that's definitely not recommended.
Not recommended. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
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 Well, I mean, it would be great for mental building. You could argue that.
Yeah, I mean, they do that in the Navy SEALs. It was like Hell Week or something like that, where like 5 days they just don't get any sleep, and then they just do like a crazy amount of workouts and stuff like that. But like, that's just an extreme.
It just deteriorates your mental health, man.
Yeah, like not to mention, like, I think.
Isn't there like a buildup of toxins when you don't sleep as well?
Yeah, in your head too. They have to clear out stuff in your head.
I thought I had that name, that Navy SEAL guy. Hold on. It's gonna irritate me that I don't know his name, because it's on the tip of my tongue. In a way, yeah. I mean, with that book with that Navy SEAL guy, he talked about, like, I think it was like his second time doing Hell Week. One of the guys literally died from, I think it was like a cold, or I can't pronounce it, like pneuma. You know, the one with the lungs and stuff like that. Anyway, he died, right? But because it's Hell Week, they sign a waiver at the start of it, right? That, you know, this is what would happen, and you'll put your body from extreme conditions. There's a kind of high chance you might die from it, right? And it kind of went a bit dark, but like, I guess what I'm trying to get at is, like, try to know your limitations, right? But also know that, like, there is, like, another day that you can do something regardless of whatever it is, right? But I know it's, like, very, like with this podcast, like, as a team, we're not encouraging you to work while tired, right? Let's just get that out there. We're just saying that, like, try to get some sleep and stuff like that, but like, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, I think like, I think the thing we don't realize often with, I guess, when things don't go to plan, is just doing it and then adjusting after you've done it, right? Like, with that adjusted plan, right? Because, like, with me, last week was like the first week of uni, and I'm doing like TAFE, which is kind of like community college, I guess, for you guys, and I'm doing both of them, and I'm like, wow, this is like a really heavy schedule. But then after I'd done it, I was like, yeah, it's not too bad, right? Like, I gotta like, obviously there's like dates when you can adjust your schedule and stuff like that, but like, honestly, I think people just underestimate what they're capable of, right? Because we always try to, like, go short or, like, cut ourselves short in case, you know, things go bad, right? Which maybe there's like a psychology thing about that or whatever, but yeah, I think there was like this one with Matt D'Avella, right, the YouTuber, and he was talking about the flinch, he was talking about this guy who wrote the book called The Flinch, right? And the flinch is basically that, like, that moment of uncomfortableness of doing something that you just don't like. Like, one good example is like taking a cold shower, right? The whole point is not the cold shower itself, it's like getting used to the flinch of going into the cold shower, and then once you get used to it, just always pushing yourself in that uncomfortable position. But, like, keep in mind that, like, you know, how can I say? I was gonna say, like, I know burnout is a thing, right? And it's like knowing your limits, of course, but it's just trying to like grow, I guess. Right? You don't grow unless you put yourself in something uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, there needs to be some type of stimulus.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I think, yeah. Alright, I'm just looking at the clock. It's, I think, roughly about an hour. I know it's like the first podcast and so, or yeah, but yeah. I mean, I hope we covered when things don't go to plan. I think we covered like a whole multitude of things. Do you guys want to keep? Yeah, roughly.
I mean, I don't want to edit too much, but I mean, I can.
I mean, just probably keep it there. Like
just do whatever.
yeah,
You know.
because like
I'm not really picky, but if we stop now, I don't really mind.
yeah, cool. Cause I think the main thing is we kind of rambled a lot, but that's what happens when you're just starting out. Like, yeah, yeah. In a way, I think we should close this
Everyone
out.
went silent.
Yeah, why did we go silent?
Should I eat Frosted Flakes or something?
Huh? Cool. Alright, well,
I think Glenn just died.
sorry? Wait, what happened? What's happening?
Bruh.
Hello? Is this working?
Yeah, it's working now.
Alright,
Welcome
did,
back.
did Jordan cut out as well, or?
No, it was just you, bro.
Okay. Well,
I'm
anyway,
still cool.
well, we should cut it out. We should close it out there. So,
Yeah.
in a way, yeah. Alright, cool. Anyway, hopefully we just cut it to this point. But anyway, alright, guys. Well, that's about pretty much about when things don't go to plan. We talked about a lot of topics, you know, sleep, our schedules and how we do things, personality quirks and productivity, and I guess scopes of projects, and yeah. Thanks for listening in a way. So yeah, I mean, I'm Dylan. Thanks for listening, and I'll leave it to you and Jordan and John. Is there anything else you want to say?
Stay focused, and even if you're only doing one thing per day, it's better than not doing anything per day and trying to overplan it.
Yep.
Follow my Instagram.
Wait. Follow my Instagram too at J_Autumn_.
At Gene._M_.
Cool. We'll have it in the show notes. Well,
Yes.
hopefully, yeah. Cool.
With that being said, good night, y'all. I'm
Yeah.
going to bed. Get some sleep.
And I'm going back to study because it's the afternoon here.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going back to video editing. This is life.
Because life. Cool. Alright, thanks, guys. See ya.
All right.
Alright.
Alright.
Go on.
Alright, I'm just stopping recording. We're not actually saying see ya. Alright.
Yes, Gio.